Hey guys, Hannah here from hannahsmilitaria.com, and I'm back with another World War II connected video. Today we are going to be testing some common issues that go wrong in the FF33 field phone. The only tools I have in front of me are a voltmeter and a flathead screwdriver. Now, these voltmeters are about $20 at Home Depot, Amazon, or Walmart, and considering that none of the replacement parts for a phone are that cheap, I strongly suggest investing in one if you don't already have one. Okay, the first thing we need to do is remove the internals of the phone from the case. Your very first step should be making sure that the crank handle on the side is removed by rotating it counterclockwise. If you left this in and tried to take the phone out of the case, you get frustrated, you start to pull, there's a very real chance that you're going to break something inside your phone, and that's not what we want to do, so make sure this is taken out. Next, move your handset out of the way, and there are 2 screws on the top that you're going to need to remove with your flathead screwdriver. Something to note is that these screws have red circles around them. With all wartime German equipment, any screw that has a red circle around it indicates that it needs to be removed to be able to access basic repairs or testing on the equipment, no matter what it is. Now, I've already removed this phone from its case, so this is the phone that we're going to be using from here forward. With any repair, not just this, the first thing you should test should always be the easiest fix. So we're going to test the battery on this phone. Now, I have my D-cell battery adapter already plugged in, and it has a battery in it. You want to test to make sure that the phone is getting enough power to power it. So I'm going to turn my voltmeter on to 20 volts, and I'm going to test both sides of the connection. I'm getting 1.5 volts. And that's more than enough to power this, so I know my battery is good and my connection is good. Putting this aside, another common issue with these phones is that the bell or the ringer inside gets stuck. So the way we're going to check that is by first removing this plate on the side. There is a little clip that's on both sides of this. You're just going to pick it up, move it to the side, carefully tip your phone over, and remove this by sliding the piece out. As you can see, the bell is right there. Now, this piece right here is what makes the bell make noise, and on this one you can see that it's clearly able to move, but very oftentimes rust gets behind that little metal panel. All you need to do is take a tiny piece of fine grit sandpaper, or even just a standard piece of paper, whatever you have on hand, slide that behind that little metal piece of paper, rub it back and forth a little bit, and you should be able to free up any rust and have your bell be operational. Now, let's say we've tested the battery, we've tested the bell, and the phone still isn't working. Your next step is to test your handset. The first thing you need to do, if you have one available, is switch handsets. You will save yourself so much headaches and problems if you're able to plug another headset into your phone to test it to see if you're having the same issues. We are going to test this headset. So the first thing we need to do is take it apart and check the inserts. On the top and the bottom of the phone, there is a microphone and a speaker insert. Now, you can see they sit in there much like a light bulb does, with one connector touching the bottom and one touching the sides. These tend to get a carbon buildup in them, and as odd as this sounds, one of the easiest ways to break that up is to violently shake it or tap it on something the same way you would tap a starter in a car that has stopped working. Let's say you tap it, you plug it back in, screw it back in, and you test it and you hear anything, do it again, repeat that. The more you use the phone, the vibration will break that carbon up and the better it will sound. This phone on my desk right here has the exact same issue, and the more we use it, the better it sounds. Okay, now that we have taken these out and we've smacked them around a little bit, and we know that this is not the issue, or at least that it's not fixing anything, you need to test the connections inside the phone. So for this, we're going to go back to the voltmeter and we're going to put it on 200 ohms. I would like to say that there is a wiring diagram right here on the connector, and it's also inside of the phone case. If you want to get into the wiring of this, if you want to start soldering, that's fine, but for our purposes, I just wanted to mention that it's here. Okay, so what you're looking for, we're going to be testing the 2 different connection points on the handset on both the top and the bottom. You are looking for, and this is much easier to do with 2 hands, any change in ohms. So let's say I test the top one. You're going to take, oh, I don't know, here. Okay. I'm going to put one connector on one connection, and you need to go through all 4 of these connection points. You're looking for only one of them to change ohms. If more than one of them changes ohms, that means that you have a short running through this line. So I touch it to, hang on. I touch it to 1, I get nothing. I touch it to 2, I get nothing. I touch it to 4, I get nothing. I touch it to, oh, there it was. This one is on connector number 4, and we're getting a change, and we're not getting it on 5. So that tells us that the 4th connector is working and that there is not a short. You need to repeat that on all 4. Additionally, and this is where a second pair of hands really comes into play, on the bottom, because this is going to be wired from the outside and powered from the other phone, you need to hold this down while touching the connector, while going through all 4 of these connections down here. Again, one of them is working, the other 3 do not show a difference in the ohms, so we know that there isn't a short. So let's just say you find a short, and as you're testing, 2 different connection points are showing a change in ohms. There is no point trying to track down the break in these cords. The entire wire is compromised, and even if you were able to find the point to solder, it's going to break again at another point. You can replace these cables with a 4-conductor strand cable that you can find online, but that's an advanced repair and it's a giant headache. At that point, I personally would replace the entire headset. Now, if you've tested everything I've explained and your phone isn't working, the final step is to check the capacitor. I'm going to have another video on testing and repairing capacitors because that is very advanced, but just for fun, I'm going to show you the simplest way to test them. Here, I have a capacitor tester. The 2 capacitors are right here. They look like little boxes, and there's a connection point at both the top and the bottom. I'm going to take an ohm meter. I'm sorry, a capacitor meter. I'm going to turn it to 2 microfarads. I'm going to put 1 connector at the top, 1 connector at the bottom, and you're going to be checking to see what the output is. Now, this is showing an output of 1.6 microfarads. These are rated for 1. So if you see a 1.6 or a 3 or a 4, that's okay. If you're getting numbers like 20 or 30, you have a real problem. At this point, I've checked both. This one is putting out 1.5, and I know that there is no problem with my capacitor. So basically everything in this phone is working, and I have troubleshooted everything that can be checked. Now, in further videos, we're going to go deeper into fixing these phones, but this should be able to clear up or at least troubleshoot and pinpoint 90% of the issues that you're going to come up with in field phones in use in the real world. I hope that this video was instructional and helpful, Click that subscribe button if you're interested in seeing future videos, and thank you for watching.